Hey folks, this clip is brought to you by Omaha Steaks. Get $20 off your order of incredible steaks with promo code VOLS, that is VOLS, at checkout. Omaha Steaks. All right, Charlie Burris, Zach Reagan, A to Z Sports Big Orange podcast. The finale of the midweek segment here. We're going to talk about the NCAA hearing taking place in the Hotel 6 lobby or wherever that's happening in Cincinnati. Motel 6, right? Sorry, not Hotel 6. Hotel 6, that would be a little bit fancier. Is there a Hotel 6 out there that the doors face inward to a hallway and not out? Sorry, that's
I'm not
stupid.
sure.
That is stupid hotel humor. Anyway, it's in Cincinnati. So it looked like some conference center or something in the videos that we've seen. And it's supposed to go Wednesday to Friday of this week. And it is with Jeremy Pruitt, who he's pleading his case in front of the NCAA. But then also all the UT officials from Philip Fulmer, Danny White, Donde Plowman are all there. If I think people know Donde Plowman, of course, the chancellor, Philip Fulmer, the former AD, and then Danny White, current AD. But and they're all talking to the NCAA. There's also some other Derek Ansley is also potentially meeting with them by Zoom. He's not actually there.
I don't know if that's actually going to happen though, because everything that's kind of been out there and reported is that Ansley has not responded to a single thing from the NCAA. Because he's in the NFL right now. I think he's the Chargers defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
He was an NFL guy anyway. The only reason I think he was with the Raiders as their secondary coach whenever Tennessee hired him to be the defensive coordinator. That connection to Jeremy Pruitt, he had been at Tennessee before under Derek Dooley, I believe, but obviously the Alabama connection to Pruitt is the only reason he came to Tennessee. It's not like he was trying to get out of the NFL. So he's kind of an NFL guy. I don't think he really cares about this at all. I don't think he's fighting against it. He's just not responding to it at all and is just going to accept, I guess, whatever they throw at him.
Yeah.
He can participate via Zoom, like you mentioned, but good chance he just doesn't pick up and open his computer and do that.
Yeah, it seems like he's just, I'm an NFL guy now, to kiss off, which good for him. That's what
I don't really blame him.
Do. Yeah, he's got a real
don't
nice
entertain. Don't entertain the NCAA and their foolishness.
No, don't give them the time of day because screw those guys. But there's some interesting elements here to note. So it's Wednesday midday at this point, and you're not going to hear any news come out of this meeting, which is why we're doing this now, because between now and Thursday, when we're actually going to put this video out, there's from the articles that I read, I saw Adam Sparks at the News Sentinel, or it might have been, I read something from Brent Hubbs. One of them said that there's essentially a gag order on all of this. You're not going to hear anything because I think, would you say contractually or legally, no one involved can speak about this until a ruling actually comes down. I believe Hubbs said in his article that he put out that that's going to be 6 to 8 months from now. There's 6 to 8 weeks. Sorry, 6 to 8 weeks from now.
So sometime this summer, when you're on vacation, sitting on a beach, you're going to find out how the NCAA is screwing over Tennessee.
Exactly. That should be real fun. But 6 to 8 weeks. Sorry. And so they can't talk about it until then. So really, there's not going to necessarily be anything that comes out of this, but there's plenty worth talking about here. And I think the most notable thing that happened this morning was that Danny White showed up, but he didn't show up alone. He walked in with the commissioner of the SEC, Greg Sankey. And to me, that says a lot, because it says specifically that Greg Sankey is on Tennessee's side and will be there advocating for Tennessee. And you already have Greg Sankey being the guy who is probably one of the most scary figures to the NCAA possible, because he hasn't said this explicitly, but he is fighting for the end of the NCAA, or at least the end of the NCAA's involvement in college football. He wants to build this super league. He is doing it. of the SEC. And at a certain point, the Super Leagues do not need the NCAA anymore, and the NCAA knows this. And so Tennessee bringing him along, I think, sends a bit of a message, and I was very happy to see that.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I think I agree with you completely there. Obviously, you want Greg Sankey's backing. In a way, he's a bigger figure than anybody in the NCAA because the SEC. I mean, quite frankly, if the Big 12 went away, if the Pac 12 went away, I won't put the Big 10 in there, but and or the ACC really. But if a couple of those conferences went away, college football would survive and it would thrive still because the primary product is the SEC. I mean, that's what draws people in. You think the SEC, the Big 10 on SEC's ratings are going to be what what they were at the SEC? It's just not. It's not going to be the case. So having Sankey's backing, that means that he understands the importance of Tennessee to the SEC. He understands that Tennessee being good is great for the SEC. It's great for college football. It's just another program that can join that elite echelon with Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Florida at times, some of these other programs that have been up there near the top for a while. It's just even more money that the SEC is going to make. So the last thing that Greg Sankey wants to happen is a bowl ban or any sort of scholarship reduction or anything that's going to hurt Tennessee. And I know there's always this narrative that everybody hates Tennessee. And from the media standpoint, I do believe in a lot of that. But when it comes to this is a product, this is part of the SEC's product, Tennessee, and it's one of the biggest, it makes them a lot of money. It's like football for a college program. Football brings in the money. Tennessee is one of those programs, SEC programs, that brings in the money. It's not like they're Missouri or Vanderbilt down there. So without a doubt, he's going to go to bat for Tennessee here.
Yeah, and I think it was so this is from Hub's article on VolQuest. He said specifically, Greg Sankey was the co-chair of the NCAA's Transformation Committee in an effort to modernize Division I sports. One of the recommendations was to not punish current student athletes who were not involved in violations. So Sankey has, in an official capacity around the NCAA, advocated for not punishing current athletes for the quote-unquote sins of past in this case, coaches. Really, I'm never going to blame the players for taking money to better their lives. That's idiotic. But so in this case, I would think that's what Sankey is going to be there for, because you've heard this floating around. Oh, Tennessee might get a bowl ban. And it happened to we talked about it on the show. Oklahoma State, right? Was it a couple of years ago? They had cooperated with the NCAA, and the NCAA.
I think it was basketball. It was their basketball team.
Basketball.
Oklahoma State's basketball team. Yeah.
And they some stuff fell over here. Apologies. But they had fully cooperated with the NCAA, and the NCAA still gave them a postseason ban. Well, Greg Sankey is there, I think, to advocate for Tennessee to say, no, we're not doing this. You're not going to have one of the cash cow programs in my conference not participate in the postseason when, you look, Tennessee in the Orange Bowl against Clemson.
It was huge. It was one of the biggest bowl games. I mean, it was better than, the championship game between Georgia and TCU.
It's true. I mean, but the money that would be lost there, not just for Tennessee, but for the SEC also, it's just absolutely massive. That's ridiculous. And of course, Greg is going to go there and advocate for his guys. So that's great to see. And I honestly really appreciate that. I've certainly been critical of Sankey in some ways. I think he's let the officiating in the SEC in almost all sports become a complete joke and some things like that. But he's not perfect. But when he steps up in situations like this, I certainly appreciate it. But then you also look at, like, if the NCAA did that, I think we've said this before in talking about this, but what incentive would there ever be to ever cooperate with the NCAA ever again for any school in America if they do this? Tennessee has bowed down. I mean, even in this, I think this was from the Sparks article, he said that Tennessee is only fighting. Let me see. Yes, the university only faces one allegation: failure to monitor for the football program, and that's
not the big one. That's not the big one, right? That's not the lack of institutional control. That's a separate. That's a separate.
But so they've
I mean,
essentially pleaded guilty on everything else, more or less. Was my reading of it. Is
but I
that
mean, even at the worst, they're not being charged with the lack of institutional control at all. It seems, which is a completely different charge that carries
yeah?
a more severe penalty. So even if they are, I don't think this one would carry the bowl ban, the failure to monitor. I'm pretty sure.
So it would have to come from the stuff that Tennessee has cooperated with them on.
Yeah.
So yeah, what the precedent that would set for the NCAA, and of course we all know like the NCAA doesn't care about that. It seems they're the most moronic, idiotic, useless dumpster fire organization, perhaps in the entirety of America. So Lord knows what they're going to do, but that would just be such an insane precedent to set. Of course, we already said they've already done it to past programs like Oklahoma State, who cooperated, and they still slapped them down. So we'll see. But I obviously, our theory is that is what Sankey is there to kind of defend and to take up for Tennessee on. So hopefully that works. Outside of that, I mean, with Pruitt, the guy just wants to be the defensive coordinator at Alabama, right? He just wants to get back to Tuscaloosa, and it's I can't blame him. You know, it
No.
makes plenty of sense that's. I mean, it's the one thing he's been good at in his entire career. Of course, he wants to go back and do that,
Yeah.
and he
And
and he and
the
he's got to
longer,
do it before Saban retires too. He's got to get
yeah,
back. So
which I think he'll always be a pretty popular figure down there. Anybody that takes over, he did a great job being a defensive coordinator. He knows what he's talking about. Obviously, he just wasn't
yeah,
a good head coach. And honestly, I think it's fair if for him to go do that. I've never had a major issue with the violations that happened at Tennessee. I've talked about it on here. It wasn't this just egregious spending. It was, yeah, it was wrong. It was against the rules. He should have known better. But at the end of the day, he was helping kids. I always thought that he cared about the kids. I always thought he, unlike Butch Jones, I thought Jeremy Pruitt cared deeply about his players. I just thought he was really bad at his job. That was the biggest concern with Pruitt, is like he just sucked at being a head coach, and there's really no way to dispute that. So yeah, let him go be the defensive coordinator there. Obviously, yeah, it makes Alabama better. That's not good for Tennessee, but also I'm not going to take the NCAA side of this. I'm just not.
Omaha Steaks is rewriting the book on burgers with an all-new handmade texture for the juiciest home-style burgers that you have ever tasted. Their pure ground burgers are made from single cuts of real aged Omaha steaks. These are truly steaks on a bun, filet mignon, ribeye, New York strips, sirloin, and even brisket burgers. Now is the time to experience the exclusive Burger Perfection flight. Go to omahasteaks.com and use promo code VOLS at checkout, and you'll get an extra $20 off orders of $129 or more, plus free shipping. Order today so you can try each pure ground burger and sample all the steak on a bun greatness. These burgers are crafted for a juicier, more tender experience, making your mouth water with every single bite. And let me tell you, folks, I haven't gotten the chance to try these pure ground burgers yet, but I've tried the Omaha Steaks burgers previously, and those were incredible. So it's hard to imagine how good these might be. I'm excited to try them. Hopefully, I'll get my hands on them soon. And of course, with Omaha Steaks, it comes right to your door. It's so convenient. You got to try it. Don't wait. Go to omahasteaks.com. Use promo code VOLS at checkout again, and you'll get $20 off orders of $129 or more. And you can discover your new burger obsession. Minimum order may be required. omahasteaks.com. Promo code VOLS. Omaha Steaks. No, absolutely not. As long as Pruitt is gone from here, Tennessee doesn't have to pay him a dime.
Yeah.
I'm whatever. Just get this over with, and hopefully this, when it wraps up in 6 to 8 weeks or whatever it may end up being, let's just leave it all behind. It does seem like the NCAA is still going to try to take some extra pound of flesh from Tennessee. Is that uh extra scholarships that they have to shave
let's hope
off,
not.
some crap like that. Who knows? But
If they do that, then it was pointless to shave any, to self-impose any scholarship reductions in 2021, because you're still going to have to go through it if they do that. That would be pretty low of the NCAA, but I certainly wouldn't put it past them.
yeah, to say that it's low of the NCAA would be to assume that they have some high ground ever, that
Yeah,
they've
that's true.
ever taken the high ground. They don't. They pretty much don't do that.
I mean, there's not many
So
players on this roster that are key contributors that were even under Jeremy Pruitt. So many of the
no,
guys that Tennessee will rely on in 2023, Joe Milton. I mean, even Hendon Hooker last season. Almost all your wide receivers outside of Ramel Keaton are all guys that weren't even here then. I mean, I know you got Jabari Small and Jalen Wright and a couple of offensive linemen, but the bulk of the roster now is like Josh Heupel's roster. So you'd be punishing kids that had literally zero to do with even communicating with Pruitt hardly.
yeah, obviously, I think people that have listened to this show at length know my take on it is tell the NCAA to go suck it. And go from there. That's my policy across the board. But obviously, it's a little Tennessee's a little too deep in it already for that to happen. But
How awkward do you think that hotel lobby conference room is? Because reading Adam Sparks in the News Sentinel put out a great timeline of events, and my favorite part of it is Pruitt was one of the first ones to arrive. Him and Fulmer pretty close. Some of Tennessee's Donde Plowman Chancellor didn't arrive until about 40 minutes after Pruitt, and apparently Sparks noted that she narrowly missed Pruitt as she was getting off the elevator. He was heading into the bathroom, and that little miss, I just picture that as being so awkward. Just does Pruitt try to purposely avoid them? Do they avoid Pruitt? Do they even acknowledge each other? Is there a handshake? Is it like this big understanding of, yeah, this is all ridiculous, crazy how this plays out? Or is there like some vitriolic, like, you
I
know,
do I do wonder what that relationship is like there. If there, I mean, I would assume it's like anybody that gets fired from a job. You pretty much you leave it behind. You go, bye. Obviously Fulmer was a little different. He Tennessee guy forever, got pushed out, didn't necessarily get quote unquote fired.
still
So
got
like that's a
his
different
money?
thing. But like if you just suck at your job and get fired from McDonald's down here, it's not like you're going back to McDonald's and like saying, "Hey, what's up, everybody?" Like
I
there's
think
no, it's not friendly. So
I think if
who
Pruitt
knows
had
what
got
that's
the
like?
buyout, it would probably be a little more friendly, or it would
Yeah.
be friendly because then
Well,
it's like when Ed Ogeron got fired at LSU and he was like, "You're gonna give me how much? What time do you want me to leave? I'm gone."
and Pruitt has been going out here, for the last what's it been at this point? 3 years going
two,
on
two,
two.
2 years and 3 months.
Yeah, 2 and a little bit. And basically that entire time he's been like posturing, like I'm gonna sue. The things will come out when the time is right, and the blah blah blah, all this stuff. Beating his chest. And I think ultimately this is gonna end. I don't know how he is behind closed doors at this point, but I think it ends with him just being contrite in front of the NCAA and being like, please, just let me go back to Alabama, please.
Well,
Just let
there's more stuff out. There's more stuff that could come from this that we don't know about, that the NCAA doesn't know about. And Pruitt knows that. Fulmer knows that. Tennessee knows that. There's a lot of stuff that got buried and hid and is not in those documents, and everybody kind of knows that. I think it's probably the elephant in the room. So you're probably not going to hear a lot of he said, she said back and forth between everybody. I think Pruitt and Tennessee, Danny White obviously is a smart guy. I think they're all smart enough to know that that wouldn't end well for anyone.
I think what he's got to do is just throw Casey in front of the train. Just let, let her take the bulk of everything if he can.
Like
Which I mean,
she worked in compliance at Florida
yeah,
State. She should know. I wash my hands of this. It's all her fault.
she's the most probably the funniest figure in that entire situation
Yes.
because, like you said, she worked in compliance, I believe, at Florida State. Like literally had done that as a job, and then now got caught, giving players money.
And the
That's so
problem with
funny.
that is not that she shouldn't have been doing it, because again, I think we're on the same page. Like, we don't care. Go pay the players
No,
whatever, NIL, pre-NIL, don't really care. It's the fact that she should have known how to do it and get away with it and cover the tracks and not allow it to be found out. The fact that they didn't cover their tracks better is the hilarious part to me.
I mean it really is. Like, as far as that goes, I mean, it's like somebody that's, like, worked at a construction company building houses for years, and then they go and try to build their own house, and it just, they don't even know how to put up an exterior wall. Like, it just is
Well, it's like an
God.
OSHA inspector getting in trouble for not using the correct ladder or not
Yeah, that's
not
that's a
tethering
good
themselves
example.
correctly, which something we saw on Saturday with the fireworks guy. Not to put him on blast, but 60,000 people saw a guy on top of Neyland Stadium not tethered into anything.
Hey,
But anyway,
I respect that courage for him to get up there. For folks that don't know, that there's, I guess, like a pyrotechnics guy for Tennessee, and he gets up on the very top of Neyland Stadium and like coordinates, I think.
well, he was right
Fireworks.
beside us when we were in the press box. We could see him, and we're just staring at him like he has nothing tying him down at all. And
It
literally, just take 3 steps forward, and you're in the middle of section whatever that is in the upper deck.
it made my palms sweat like watching that dude. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh god, just get him down so I don't have to see it anymore. But that it's just a waiting game now. Hopefully Sankey and Danny and Dondi all do a good job and advocate for Tennessee and the lawyers too, because I Sparks, one of the articles that he put out this morning at the News Sentinel, was that Tennessee has now spent, I believe, over $1.5 million on legal fees. Let's see, I had it. Yeah, spending more than $1.5 million on legal fees over the course of this case. So let's hope that those guys are worth the money.
You're still plus 10.5 million if you're counting that against Pruitt's buyout, though.
That's true. That is a good point. So hopefully it all pays off for Tennessee, because this whole thing, just get it behind us, get it gone. It honestly, I think it'll be good if this, after the 6 to 8 weeks, if that is the end of this and it all actually really does finally wrap up. Thank goodness. Just in time for Heupel to have a season where he's really coming into his own. So just be done.
I had my timeline down. I was thinking it would be right before SEC Media Days, but it should be late June. Would be the 6 to 8 week timeline.
It'll be a few weeks before
Media Days,
maybe a month before. We'll see.
It could still play out to be a major storyline at Media Days, though.
Oh, it definitely could. I mean, if an actual punishment comes down and there's like extra scholarships to get throttled, Heupel's going to get asked about all that for sure. But we'll discuss it when that does happen. I'm Charlie Burris. That is Zach Reagan. This is the A to Z Sports Big Orange Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Otherwise, I think that's it for this week. Likely the time for this coming show will be things are happening behind the scenes where we're potentially shifting around the time of the show on Monday. So I'll put it this way: follow me and Zach on Twitter and watch out for our announcement. But join the live show on Monday, 4 p.m. or maybe later than that, sometime Eastern time. On Monday, A to Z Sports Nashville YouTube channel will live stream there, and you can come hang out with us. So go subscribe and follow us in places so that you don't miss any of that. And we'll talk to all y'all next week.
See you guys later.